Hello, everyone. This is UN1, the UN 2.0 week, and we are here with the side event on building agile AI schools for the UN 2.0 era. And we'll be starting with a short video while we see other colleagues are coming in, just so you use this time, watch something while give the space for others to join. Federica, can I go ahead? Thank you, Federica. Let's do this. Hello, everyone. My name is Ahmad Karim. I lead in advocacy and innovation with UN Women Regional Office, and I'm super excited to have three of my super awesome colleagues, Kiriti, Federica, and Laura, who are part of leading the work on the UN Women AI School. You'll be hearing from us today about our AI model, why we're doing it, how we're doing it, but also we're going to be giving you a little bit of heads up news and exciting resources that will be shared with you at the end. For those who are also interested to know more, please feel free to connect with us afterwards if your organization interested in replicating the AI school. We'll be preparing a whole package of open source material with the content, the methodology, our learning, our success, and our failures to be a case study for anyone to replicate this work. So without further ado, we're going to continue to our first part of the why the AI school. The evolution of Gen AI is changing everything from the labor market to jobs to economies, but also to technology facilitated violence, to the way we are seeing the world. Unfortunately, when the UN 2.0 were started design, that was right before the rapid evolution of the Gen AI applications. Um, so most of our directive, even within the UN, our rules were designed before the age of Gen AI. So in other words, we kind of leading our vision with the map of yesterday. So that's required that we need to be more agile, more adaptive, or more creative. With the shrinking funding space within the development sector, not just for the UN, but also for all of those development actors, gives a big pressure on those who are working on building capacities, who are trying to adapt and protect marginalized communities, to have less resources in responding to that rapidly changing world. So what we decided to do within here is how can we build an agile, adaptive learning pathway where we can guarantee that women and girls are still up to date with information. They can cope with competition that's going to be rising. They can cope with the changing world of jobs and markets. This required that we need to also ourselves adapt to a new way of delivering capacity building. And that's where the AI school came from. If we go to the next slide, please. Um, the model that we're presenting is also in alignment with the UN 2.0 pathway. We're looking into skills through our AI school. We're looking into evolution of our transformation of the culture of change. with having an AI and tech strategy. We're also collaborating with the different thematic areas within different UN organizations, from the UNCT to partners within the UN IBC on digitalization. And our work is more of to create the AI tools, campaign, knowledge product that can facilitate that transformation, leading to that women and girls are still in place of every design project or a program or an initiative that still can be gender inclusive and also sensitive to all genders within the school. So with the AI school, we started with the vision that we know that there's a huge digital gap that we inherited from way before. And that gap is now is going to get wider and wider. So we're starting from below the zero level, and we want to get people to a speed of 100 in a very short time. So our objective is to provide the foundational knowledge of what is AI, what is Gen AI, what is machine learning, what does ethical and responsible AI look like? How can we produce or can design a gender inclusive AI and a new internet? This would require that we also adapt to this internally with our workplaces where we can increase productivity. Can we use AI application that can help us within our workflows, but also take us to external work, or how can AI help us with creating content, design campaign, produce and disseminate knowledge management product? How can our knowledge application now adapt to a new age of AI where people are actually searching for information on the LLMs rather than on search engines? And we want to take people not to be a user. We want them to be customizer. We want them, our participant, to be the designer of AI, to have that power and confidence that they can influence the infrastructure. And hopefully they will be the next AI application will be led by more and more girls and women. We also take a serious consideration to safety and security measures, especially right now with a lot of those AI platforms are not having the necessary guardrails to protect women and girls from misinformation, from sexism, from the gender biases that is really baked in the data and algorithm. If we can go next, please. So with this, I'm happy to hand over to our friend and partner in the AI steering committee, Kiriti, to take us through an overview of the program.
Thanks, Imad. As Imad was just sharing about the breakneck speed at which AI is developing and evolving, our training is an attempt to keep pace with that. So accordingly, the program journey starts by giving our participants a solid foundation in understanding what AI truly is. And then we'll get into the deeper focus on AI for productivity, for precision, for engagement, and improving efficiency. But what we also want to do, as Imad had mentioned, to be able to give our participants the capacity to develop and customize AI, we will actually dedicate segments of the training to apply all that they've learned to implement and custom AI tools. Participants will also learn how they can solve problems to address through AI with meaningful solutions, and finish off with a showcase where they will present their solution. So how do we want to achieve this? I want to take you through a bit of our learning journey and our learning methodology. We start with what we call the 20-80 focus rule, where we concentrate on the critical 20% of concepts, tools, and ethical principles that unlock 80% of everyday value for UN operations, policy work, and public innovation. What does this mean? In practice, our lectures will stay lean, but we'll focus heavily on hands-on action, labs, prompt drills, and case walkthroughs, which will do the heavy lifting. We adopt a practice-first design, which means that every class contains live demos, mini sprints, and peer critiques. So participants will have a chance to apply their ideas to their own context using what we call the workbench slots, and they can receive instant feedback from the facilitators or even the AI school companion GPT, which we'll talk about in a bit. We offer guided depth options where slide decks will link to deeper dives on specific areas of interest, with policy papers, notebooks, podcasts, and videos. And learners can choose how far they want to go. Either they want to be essential, advanced, or become experts by the end of it. We lean into community co-learning, where we cultivate a cross-track network of practitioners, researchers, and activists. And we do this with a stream of weekly expert talks, thematic focus, and peer review of prototypes to ensure that knowledge flows laterally instead of the regular power dynamic of the top-down structure. We use an agile and adaptive curriculum where we have a curriculum watch group that comprises facilitators and members from the steering committees, as well as representatives from the participants, where they pay attention to breakthroughs, talk about the pace at which AI is developing, and paying attention to that really. So we'll draw from content, we'll draw from examples and companion GPTs, which will be patched or expanded within a matter of days so that the school evolves along with the rapidly evolving AI landscape. We prioritize inclusion and accessibility, and we lean on a reflect and refine loop through micro surveys after each class to feed a live dashboard. This is done to ensure that support is personalized across the 3 tracks, which I'm about to tell you about. So we have, as you can see on your screen before you, 3 tracks: the public cohort, the policymakers track, and the UN staff AI bootcamp track. The public cohort essentially builds on the 4 lessons with thematic specialist weeks, extended mentoring, and a structured badge data. Now, this is a 12-week window with 2 weekly 1-hour live series of sessions. The policymakers track is a highly specialized track, which is on demand based on country-specific context and needs. And the UN staff bootcamp is in collaboration with UNIBC on digitalization as a shorter-term tier designated for UN staff members. All 3 of these tracks will be receiving the foundational core modules that will focus on AI foundations, responsible AI and bias, prompt engineering, and AI applications within the UN or public sector. But what we will have as a difference is that the public cohort will go beyond the core with a specialist week, extended mentoring, and the badge ladder, whereas the policymakers lab will focus on 5 core frames and specifics for the regulatory design and public service deployment. The UN staff bootcamp will have more UN-specific examples and leverages and will leverage in-person labs to really build immediate workstream-ready prototypes. All of this ends with the graduation project, which we call the Grand Challenge. Now, the program concludes with the opportunity for participants to design a custom AI solution that could address a global challenge. And it starts with really asking the big question, which is, what does a truly gender-inclusive AI look like? Participants are welcome to choose any option that works for them. They could build a policy brief, a prototype, a data set, a campaign, or a mix of all of these. And they will reimagine any one phase in the AI cycle. That could be the data set creation, the model development or deployment stage, or governance and adoption stage. And the final deliverable would look like a 2-page executive summary or a main artifact, along with a 5-minute video. These submissions will be evaluated based on a set of predetermined criteria. And those that win and pass that scrutiny will win a scholarship spot in the UN Women Gender Tech Accelerator or other partner AI labs, as well as be part of a publication in the AI School Compendium called Blueprints for Gender Inclusive AI. So that's a little bit about our AI school, and I'm now going to hand it over to my colleague Laura to talk about the specialized labs and expert talk.
Thank you, Kirti. As mentioned, there are 3 tracks which will have the regular scheduled programming, but on top of that, we have add-on classes that the students can choose to take depending on what they would like to upskill or learn more. And those are in the specialized labs and expert talks. In fact, just this week, we had someone from LinkedIn give an expert talk just yesterday. And so we will be having these every week from different thematic areas and areas of focus that would be relevant to the stakeholders in 3 tracks. Next slide, please. So now that we've heard about the overall design of the AI school, the vision, the tracks, and the learning journey, I'd like to break down what's included in the AI school's online learning environment, what tools and spaces learners will use as they move through the program. We currently use Google Classroom primarily to host the experience. However, as was mentioned earlier, we're always evolving and open to shifting platforms if we ever find a better option that supports accessibility, multilingual needs, and collaboration more effectively. So if you see on the left side, the first three components are the core learning components where we have the interactive stream. This is where learners see real-time updates, they can post questions and engage in conversation as the course unfolds. We also have multimedia modules during the course. The course content is delivered in various formats to accommodate different learning styles and facilitate easy comprehension. We have assignments and rubrics, so learners will always know what's expected and how their work will be reviewed. And in the middle column, you'll see that we have a space for reflection and collaboration. So we have collaborative docs and sheets. Learners will work together using shared documents for project planning, writing, and other group tasks. There are reflection journals, which will help learners think about their learning process and support their self-awareness and deeper engagement. We have co-learning spaces within the Google Classroom where students can offer feedback, they can start discussions, they can collaborate on ideas, which makes it especially useful for peer review and group projects. And on the right, you'll see components that support the growth and support beyond the school. So we have the opportunities board, which provides access to resources such as grants, conferences, fellowships, etc., which enables continued growth and development outside the classroom. Further learning pathways, we also include curated resources such as free online courses, reading lists, skill building materials, because not everything can be covered within the AI school. And if anyone does want to go further, we point them to the resources to, take their journey further. We also have the companion GPT, which Kirti mentioned briefly. And this is an AI-powered support tool that can define terms, help learners catch up, and suggest resources. This AI school companion acts like a 24/7 learning companion. It's part tutor, part coach, part activity guide, but it's not here to replace the facilitators. It's here to make sure the learners get the help they need when they need it. So they can use this companion GPT to get class summaries, flashcards, short quizzes, to make class review easier and less overwhelming. They can also use it as a practice coach while working on hands-on labs or trying out prompts. If someone falls behind or joins late, they can use the GPT to create a personalized catch-up plan. And it can also act as a mentor for those doing the Grand Challenge project. It can provide templates, data sets, and checklists, especially around risk. The GPT also wouldn't be complete without ethics and policy info. So they can reference all that important information. And if a student has difficulty finding a learning resource, it can search its knowledge base based on the student's prompt. Of course, it's also designed to support various languages and content formats, enabling better learning experiences for individuals learning across borders and in different ways. Next slide, please. So to make sure the AI school stays grounded in the needs of learners and communities and doesn't become just another top-down program, a steering committee was formed. And the purpose of the committee is here to give input and make decisions about the AI school, from how it's designed and delivered to how we evaluate its impact. The committee actually comprises 15 individuals, including youth leaders, many from the 30 for 2030 network, UN Women staff, representatives from other UN agencies, AI experts, and partner NGOs. This mix helps keep the program grounded in both lived experience and technical expertise. The committee helps select who participates and trains in the program. We also co-design the curriculum, support outreach, and help track and report on progress. The committee's term runs for 5 months, from April to September 2025. And we meet weekly and also form smaller task groups to accomplish tasks between sessions. And the group operates by consensus whenever possible. If a vote is needed, the majority wins, but UN Women Asia Pacific acts as the final decision maker when required. And of course, we follow a clear code of conduct, which includes a commitment to diversity and inclusion, zero tolerance for harassment, open access to information, and the disclosure of any conflicts of interest. I'll now pass the virtual mic to Federica, who will take you on a journey in imagining the future of AI and the school.
Thank you so much, Laura. So the question now is how we make this sustainable. How we ensure that after this AI school, its impact continues to go over and reach even greater lengths that we can achieve as the UN Women Regional Office for Asian Pacific. First of all, we are planning together with our AI School Steering Committee members our replication program that will allow them to leverage the tools, resources, and materials developed for the AI School in local context and national context as well. This is also, Laura and Curti are here today also as a testament to this kind of snowballing approach, as they were participants to the first edition of the AI School and are active steering committee members, directly deep diving into lessons and acting as facilitators, moderators, and so on and so forth. Also, we are developing, as long as we go with the development of lessons, an open source curriculum pack, including all the materials that we're using, as well as the companion GPT and the prompts that we are using for it. Together with that, we're also considering, and we will implement, a series of capacity buildings for trainers and facilitators and any kind of educational stakeholder that works with and for young people and or other civil society members. They may benefit from this kind of training on AI, especially women and girls, which will include especially the top graduates from our school, who will earn a facilitator badge and a micro grant to implement this kind of activity. This goes hands in hand with the idea of localizing the school. Right now, of course, we are implementing a regional program that, as such, has obviously some elements chosen for commonality, including the language, which is English, or the addition to a specific kind of pathway that tries to synthesize all the cultures and perspectives taken into consideration in Asia Pacific, but also understands the importance of localizing it even more. So this will be done through language packs, local dataset, and contextual case studies that will increase also the ownership of future capacity building activities related to the iSchool as a spin-off. We're also building a community repository on GitHub and Zotero for crowdsourced updates and pull requests that will be also used probably in the future to train further custom GPT agents. We are also extending our kind of initiative to other potential partners. As Laura was mentioning before, the steering committee is already composed of 15 members from almost 10 different organizations, both at the grassroots level, at the international level, and at the national level. And our idea is to continue leverage and enhance this multidisciplinarity to ensure, first of all, that the academy is grounded in lived experiences as well as technical expertise, but also that the academy is able to navigate further even after the official end of this 2025 edition. And then we will also implement evergreen releases through quarterly sprints to integrate the latest AI ethics and policy advances, because as we know, Gen AI is evolving at a fast pace, faster than anything that we've seen before, probably. This requires constant update of materials to avoid being obsolete after a few months. And this is also related to our shared impact dashboard, which will have other metrics for every replicate cohort, also allowing to understand not only how many people are actually involved in the academy, but also the quality of the content, the way it landed for our participants, and how, based on their feedback, we can continue improving it. So that's in a nutshell the iSchool. We try to keep it brief because, as Curdy was saying, we use the 2080 method. So we prefer to open the discussion and hear from you if you have any question or any doubt, etc. So I'm happy to collect any question. For those of you who want, you can also write in the Q&A panel. I already see a few. I don't know if, yeah, I think now every participant can see the questions. So let me just stop sharing my screen. And for more info, also, you can contact Emad, which is the founder of the AI School, as well as other members of the steering committee. Let me give a look to the Q&A panel.
Thank you so much, Federica. We're also happy if you want to come in to unmute yourself. Please raise a hand, and we'll let you speak. If you want to come in, let's have this as a discussion. In the meantime, we can start with the questions in the Q&A.
Exactly. Okay, so while people gather, formulate their questions and then raise their hand, the first question is from Grace Samba. I hope I'm pronouncing every name correctly. Sorry if I'm not, please correct me if you want. And it's, how do you handle the balance between technical AI training and non-technical awareness for staff working in humanitarian or policy fields? I can start taking this question. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, go ahead.
Perfect. So first of all, we are targeting, as you mentioned, staff working in humanitarian and policy fields. And our idea is that artificial intelligence, to be properly leveraged for sustainable development and to be actually gender responsible, also needs human intelligence. This means considering a lot of aspects that are not purely technical. Because per se, AI and Gen AI in particular is deeply connected with data analysis. And as we all know, data and numbers are not neutral, not that technical. They have some technical aspects, but there's also a lot of human aspects. So part of our academy is to provide participants, especially policymakers and UN staff and other NGO members, with consideration about how to ethically employ AI, how to understand the risk correlated to data usage, to personal information as well, and how to regulate it when it comes to policymaker. A second aspect is related to how to leverage existing models, because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, but rather to build on what already exists, as we are not a tech company, or we are a UN agency, how to leverage such tools in an ethical and responsible way. The custom GPTs we were talking about before are an example of that. How do we build something that still leverages the capacity of ChatGPT or Gemini or other LLMs, but at the same time reduces the risks? And we also provide a few tools, techniques, and guidelines, as well as custom GPTs for different UN organizations and colleagues and policymakers, that allow them to pursue specific purposes that can go from policy development, alignment to UN Women Standard or no tolerance policies, or even fundraising in an ethical way, and so on and so forth. I don't know if Emma, do you want to add something to this question?
Sure. Thank you so much, Federica. I think you covered a lot of that. Just to add 2 more points, is Gen AI, or the evolution of all the LLMs that is coming out, were not designed for nonprofits. So we were not the first target of these technologies. So it has to come from our side, from the development sector, to actually try to make it work for us. We have our sensitivity, we have our human rights, consideration that we need to take into. We have our consideration sensitivity toward, not tolerating bias, not tolerating misinformation. So to also be able to design solutions and programs that can adjust and can help redesign those AI systems, we ourselves need now to have that technical background. So it's not like any other topic where you can just go and read a little bit and you will know it, you will catch up with the whole sector. This is changing the game, because now you might be a humanitarian specialist, but you are now expected to also know very well how AI works and what are the tools that are available, how it's impact your work, how it could impact your target groups on your policy, but also how to can integrate all of this. So there is a whole new learning that we need to acquire within our UN work, from the CSOs, from the young people, and from every woman and girls to live in an AI, led internet or technology. So our learning journey is a combination of all of this. We start with the foundation to make sure that people know the concept, know what does a data set means, what algorithm means, how it does affect our output that we seek, to looking into the standards of policies and responsible AI, all the way to how to master talking to AI. We created AI so it can help us to understand this, but now we are actually requested to understand how AI talks. There's a whole art of prompt engineering, and asking the right question that AI will ask, all the way to design solution that can help.
There's still from Grace Samba, there is another question about how if we have plans to localize the interface and content of the school to meet linguistic, cultural, and regional needs across different UN duty station and partner countries. So as I was mentioning before during the presentation, the idea of localization is enshrined in the AI school per se. That's the reason underpinning our choice to compose a steering committee with members from different sister UN organization, grassroots organization, youth groups, and from different countries in the region, so that they can also have the level of ownership required to proceed to localization after that. And we're also in constant contact with our country offices that have already been engaged in several capacity building related to the AI school, especially in the first part of 2025, most of which took also place in presence, and Matt was going from country to country training our country offices as well, to provide them with not only the materials, but also with the skills and tools and tips and tricks to actually continue localizing them after the AI school ends. And some results are already visible. If I'm correct, it's our Indonesia office that is about to launch a custom GPT over the next few months. So our country offices are also experimenting with custom GPTs that are even more localized to their necessities, needs, and cultural backgrounds. I don't know if Emma, do you want to add something on that?
I mean, the future of the AI slide, I think, talks about it. It's not about us. The AI school, we're hoping, or this is the vision from the steering committee, which is not just UN Women. It's that group who are like, we want this not to stop here. We want everyone to have at least a foundational base that they can start from. So that's why we want this to be replicated outside of us. It should not be me or the facilitators or other people who just did the first drive and then it just dies out. The Gen AI is changing almost every month. There's a whole new technology. Our knowledge will be outdated within 3 to 6 months. So we leave this also to the communities who want to lead this. So from our part, we're going to make sure that that package is ready from all of our learning. And then we're happy we'll keep this public. Anyone can take it localized. We really count on those who can see an opportunity in a small village or in a town or with a community that you think that they are outside of our reach, to take it and try, take one lesson, one class, or take the whole package. We just need not to stop. Also to add this, the AI school is not funded by any external funders. So this is our, initiative and game, our collective works, or that's why we also have that flexibility to do a lot of changes on the day of training or to expand our partnerships. If any of you would like to work on a localization, please reach out to us.
Exactly. And the next question is from Aswini Ramkumar. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And it's what has been the impact on project on enroll girls. So I can speak of the current, as the 25 edition of the AI School was launched last week, I can speak about the current plans that we have to monitor and assess this kind of impact. But for the previous edition, I will leave the word both to Ahmed and Kirsty and Laura. They were also participants of the AI School, so they will tell you also more from a personal perspective. Right now, as we are this is the second edition of the AI School, and we received a significantly higher number of expectation as it was after its pilot in 2024. We decided to pursue an even more structured kind of assessment and M&E framework in which we assess different aspects. The first is related to what are the skills and previous knowledge on AI, especially gender responsive and ethical AI, as well as AI tools and custom GPTs that women and girls and in general participants have. A second element is related, once you have the knowledge and the skills, a second element that we are assessing and we assessed before the school and we're tracking right now is the confidence that the school builds, because we know that confidence is one of the most gendered factors if you think about it. So we're trying to understand if not only the participants feel that they developed, that they gained the skills and knowledge that we expect them to, but also if they feel confident to apply said knowledge and skills in the future. And then the last aspect is related to future plans and their potential impact in their local communities. And this we monitor both through the Grand Challenge results as well as through a series of questions that we ask our participants and will ask in the future about what are their plans, how we can help them to localize this initiative in other countries or to leverage in general the knowledge that they have to implement gender responsive AI solutions and or campaigns and initiatives. But also last year, I think about last year, Ahmed can talk better, can explain better than me. So over to Ahmed, please.
Yeah. Thank you, Federica. So, I mean, the AI School was not just a one cohort, one track. So since 2014, we trained more than 1,500 people, mostly from UN staff, from partner NGOs, even from some of the groups that we work with. And we have almost 100% satisfaction rate in all of the trainings, with people highlighting a major shift between the training before and post, or with the majority of people seeing a value for what they got from the training, from the methodology, but also from that change in the whole culture of fear of using AI to being more confident of knowing when to use it and when not to use it. What is the human add-in value to the content that is being created, and when to go to AI. We're also a AI agonistic tool. So we don't really focus on one platform or tools. We look into all the best ones or the worst one and showcase what is good about each one of them and what not, when not to use. So that's offer a realistic overview of the sectors and benefits to participants. I would leave it to Kirsty and Laura. They were in the last, on the first pilot of the AI School.
Thanks, Imad. I think what I'm about to share is perhaps the first time Imad is also probably hearing about the level of the impact this training has had. So I have a background in women, peace and security and feminist foreign policy. And that's where my entry into the AI School began. That's where I started. Now, since then, I've been working on 3 different levels with the learnings of the AI School, 1 on development, 2 on policy, and 3 on ethics and training. So on development, I built through the knowledge of the AI School a custom GPT that speaks about conflict-related sexual violence and studies patterns around the world to make assessments of potentials and areas of intervention to prevent and mitigate conflict-related sexual violence. In terms of policy spaces, I've worked with the G7 countries on emerging technology and building policy responses, and I'm currently engaged with 6 different governments across the majority world on building their AI ethics frameworks, and with nonprofits and companies on policies around usage of AI within companies' spaces and organizational spaces. And finally, in the training side of things, I work with data scientists to think about intersectional frameworks and how power plays into building their data sets and what that results in terms of biases within the AI tools. So the rectification of a bias isn't for the AI tool, it's for the data set to begin with. So by giving them the lens to really reflect on how their power, positionality, and privilege work, I've been trying to bring in a bit of a social justice perspective into the development and deployment of AI. And none of this would have been possible without the training of the AI school. This is not a paid promotion, mind you. I have left anything to do with computer science and data and technology 23 years ago. So from that to come to this point of learning at the AI school and then hitting the ground running, it is in no small part because of my participation in the pilot cohort. But I'm going to hand it over to Laura, who's been doing some amazing things as well.
Thank you, Kirti. And I think this is my first time hearing all the stuff that Kirti has done um, with the learnings from that first iteration. So on my part, yes, there have been several things that I've done. Like I've experimented with a few different platforms, from ChatGPT to trying out Claude to even Copilot. And I think one of the biggest ways it has impacted me, that is very relevant to what I currently do at the moment, which is communications for a labor rights organization in Asia. And it's a very grassroots movement, but it's trying to build power regionally and also globally. And they have a very long history. And when I first joined, it was a lot of information that you needed to digest. And as a comms person, it's very important to stay true to the values and the purpose and the mission and the vision, and make sure that it is translated well in the communications that you do. So I actually created for my own personal use that I still use throughout my work at the labor rights organization, to help me in making sure that whatever I come up with stays true to what the organization stands for. So that's just one example. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. The next question I would revert to Ahmed from the beginning, as is the mind behind most of the custom GPTs here. And it's from Dario Jäger. Given its focus on policy-related fields, which LLMs are being used and what measures are taken to mitigate model-based biases in the data?
So when it comes to this, because what we also have observed that there is still the LLMs and Gen AI tools still have a lot a way to go. So we don't really recommend one over the other. We don't focus on one tool over the other. What we try to do with the AI school is to consider looking into all of them. We learn the process of how can you identify which tool is good for you. What are the responsible AI values that you need to take into consideration when you're using one over the other? How can you test if this model is bias-free, which, not, of course, most of them they're not, but it's like how far you can go. What are the different scenarios that you might see? How can you review your output to make sure that it's also very valid, does not have misinformation or a negative side of them. So that's a process that we try to do and contain. It's also a preparation for the future, because we're trying to be tool free. In case of in 3 months a new technology comes out, our graduates will know how to work on it, how to utilize that without having to learn. So we're giving them the foundational that they can use for any tools that comes in the future. With demos was the current state of the LLMs and Gen AI tools.
Thank you, Ahmed. Then we have a question from an anonymous attendee about how often we will run the AI school, how many slots per cohort, any tech readiness or learning prerequisite for non-tech grassroots leaders in preparation to adopt or join the AI school. And I don't know who wants to take this question. I think it's something that we all can talk a lot about. So who wants to take it?
I can start.
Okay.
And then I'll leave it to Laura and Kirti to respond to the rest. How often do we run it? So it takes kind of like 3 months of preparation at least from us, from the call for application to the selection of the participants, to updating the curriculum and the methodology, to work on securing all the speakers and establish partnerships, to have a new wave or a new school almost in every iteration, and that's very important for us. We receive a lot of application, and I think Kirsi and Laura was also part of the selection committee, and you can see a lot of amazing people who have applied, and it makes us sad to just have a smaller number where we can guarantee a quality of delivery and focus, also the diversity of the people from different countries and backgrounds, to wanting to do more of this. But it does take, as I said, this is not a funded project. It's runs mostly by the volunteers who are working with us. We take the grace of working with our also experts who volunteer to the cause of the process. So we cannot run it that quickly, but well, at the same time, every iteration, or like this 2025 version, is almost 3 months. So it takes 3 months to prepare and 3 months to go through all the sessions and preparation to all the way to the graduation. So I would say in every 6 months, we're hoping that the next one also could be run by other people. We're investing in this cohort right now so they can have their own AI school. So maybe in the next 3 months, you might have a school next to you. Might be also localized in somewhere in India or the Philippines or somewhere in the world. Or one of you would be taking our package to do it. So we want to have more schools running everywhere.
Thank you so much for your answer. So the next question is from Mirabel Godwin. Thank you for this initiative. Is the school open for enrollment? Yeah, Ahmed, do you want to?
So you want me to say the sad news? We closed enrollment for the first cohort. We just started also this cohort. And so the next will be probably in 3 months. But as I said, once we finish this cohort, we'll be packaging everything. And we're hoping within the next 3 months, we'll have also the partners that will be ready to start their own school. So you might have an AI school that is just AI and climate, or AI and humanitarian, and an AI and entrepreneurship. There's a lot of ideas, and we're counting on the project of the participant as well to take it to a new level. So hopefully we'll come back with you with great news within 3 months.
To add up on that, at the same time, we also launch a series of online webinars, initiatives, and/or presentations about the latest research we have on Gen AI's impact on women and girls, or new tools and techniques to advance the SDG, the Sustainable Development Agenda, and in particular SDG 5. Including a webinar that we had on May 29 about the impact of Gen AI on women's and girls' access to the job market and to decent economic opportunities in the Asia Pacific region. That is still available on our website. It's called Women and Future Jobs. You can have a look at the webinar. The recording is there, the report is there, and you can follow us on social media, like looking up for UN Women Asia and Pacific Regional Office on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, to stay tuned about any kind of new initiative that we may have to increase your knowledge base, to use a very AI-friendly kind of language, like lingo, while waiting for the new cohort to start. And then I see there was another question about links to apply, and if there are special conditions for you and colleagues. So I think we answered that. The only element we may add is that we usually try to make the AI, the capacity building initiative for UN staff members, more in line with the needs, requirements, and time constraints of UN personnel, so to make it more agile and provide with all the information needed. And then there is another, there is Moshke that asks if how do external people, that external to UN people, get involved in the co-design process independently for fresh perspective. Emma, do you want to take that?
Of course. I mean, the whole idea of the steering committee is just to have that, fresh perspective, new ideas. It's also in touch with where we at the moment. So this is the way that we are designing something for our learning as well to be included. That's our goal behind having the steering committee, before also engaging with the participant the whole time and adjust our training every week. It's we're looking always for that new perspective. We do realize that the technology is moving faster than any other training methodology that can adapt to, but so we're trying to do our best to be there. We also acknowledge that shortcoming, that we're not covering everything. We're trying to build the base, while we also give pathways and opportunities for the participant to increase their own knowledge. It's a self-learning, it's a co-learning with other peers and colleagues in the school, but it's also up to the participant to go as far as possible. And we're hoping to provide more opportunities for advanced learning from other partners as well during the course.
Thank you, Ahmed. And then we have a few questions about resources available or how can they find us. So I'll share the UN Women. I will share the link to the AI school that will also allow you to be in the UN Women Asia and Pacific website in this chat, as well as our social media channels while we go on. And of course, Emma, curricula, if you want to share other information, let us know. Also, Emma has shared this email address in the presentation for those of you who want to have more info and so on and so forth. So, I see our hand raised. Please, Anna, go on while he's there.
I think
No.
she lowered her
It was
hand.
yeah, okay,
It was a mistake.
It happens. Yeah.
By the end of the school, also be evaluating what happened, and we'll be also happy to share our success and failures so other people can learn from it. So we'll be posting this on the UN Women website. We're proud of our experiences, especially our failures, and we don't want anyone to do them. But we're also make sure that we do things as the best to our audience and participant. So we're definitely going to make our best chance to share all of this. I see you're allowed to talk. Can unmute.
Hi, how are you?
Come in, please. Good.
Hey,
Thanks for
yes,
joining us.
I'm with the African American Future Society, and we're always looking at cultural sensitivities on the use of AI and what the outcomes are. But also, we're trying to look at how do we, and I hate to use this word for those that are educators, but how do we replace the old World War II model of funding schools? In the States, we have a terrible problem of property taxation to fund schools. And how do we move this new technology to 100% platform in a way that we can reduce property tax?
That's a huge question, y'all. I don't know if I'll have the answer to it. But I think this is a transition time where policies are being drafted. The US have a major power on the industry, as a lot of the leading companies are still in this field. I think we're counting on you and other activists to raise those questions, to push for more support to public schooling to adjust to that transition. because it does affect educators, it does affect students, it does affect the world that they will be graduating to work and interact, and going to affect relationship, how they perceive information and how they think, and affect creativity, where in 2 years we're seeing those dream jobs that we were advising students to work on that probably will be disappearing in 2 years, or at least adjusted to a certain extent. And I think public schools have a major roles in preparing the students, and that's not going to happen without also preparing the teachers, who's going to try to adapt, and then updating our curriculum, which is a huge, long process. I have 3 degrees in instructional design and education, and I know the struggle of educators to work in an uncertain world, especially in a massive change that is happening right now. So we're hoping for a radical change to support more public schools to accommodate, to adapt, to help students navigate this time.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. We have 4 minutes, so we'll take maybe one more question before we close. Otherwise, I'll just give the chance to Laura and Kirati to say last closing remarks.
Okay, let's say there's only one about when will the Indonesia court start. We say stay tuned also because localization requires a second to make sure that cultural sensitivity and in general language elements are taken into consideration. But stay tuned and follow us on our channel so to have any update about this, and then we can leave the floor to Kirti and Laura for the final remarks.
Also for Indonesia, we have a partnership with LinkedIn that is looking for building capacity of women and girls in the digital world. So there's going to be a lot of activities coming up. I would totally recommend to look for Link Women. So on UN Women website, partnership with LinkedIn.
Please, Kirti, Laura.
I just wanted to share one thought. I think it came up in a question earlier as well, in terms of a background that you might need to be able to get into the AI school or actually study about AI. I think this is a time where even those that thought they had a background have been astonished by the rapidity of the development. The pace at which things are changing have taken even those who were domain experts by storm. And I think that's the opportunity all of us can lean in on. Whatever seat you were occupying, whatever view you had of the table from where you were seated, could be your entry point into AI. So the sky is really the limit. Be creative, pay attention to problems that your sector has unearthed, and look at ways which that could be your starting point to engage with AI. It worked for me. I came from completely no background in tech, and today I am actually comfortably safe saying that I am working at the intersection of tech and social justice. And you can do it too if I could. My grades in high school tell a very different story, but I braved it out, and you can actually do it as well.
Yes, I 100% agree with Kirti. It's and I say this as someone that's worked for 17 years in the tech industry and like the for-profit industry, and then moved to the nonprofit industry. And it's the moment you stop keeping in touch with what's the latest in tech, you kind of just backslide. So even if someone's an expert or was an expert, you're probably on the same level as them when it comes to AI.
Federica, do you want to say something before I close in?
Thank you all for taking part in this. I think we covered most of the elements considered. I also think that in 2 months we can do the same kind of webinar and talk about something completely different because everything would have been changing. So thanks so much for joining, because this means that you're willing to understand and learn more, and also to talk about Gen AI and its evolution for women and girls. So we're very happy. Let's stay tuned and in contact with one another. And thank you again for taking part of this webinar.
Thank you, everyone. We have your emails from the registrations. We'll keep you posted as well with some of the public sessions that we'll be organizing from the AI school. We might open some of the expert talks that you've seen we presented today to the public in case you're interested to join any. Stay tuned. We are definitely looking for partners, for experts. You have something to help with the AI school, please reach out. If you need help with applying some of what we do with the AI school, please reach out and we'll be happy to support as much as we can. And hopefully within the 3 months period, we'll be offering more insights on the results of this one and opening up, giving away all the resources open source for anyone to replicate, to read, to look into it. And we'll be super happy to hear that someone already taking it and doing something in their local community. Have a great Friday and a weekend, and we'll see you in the next webinar.
Thank you so much.